my microphone. Hopefully it's gonna work. Hello, people. Welcome. Let me just put that into gear. I'm trying a slightly different approach, so hopefully it's not gonna die on me. I can't see if my mic is connected. All right, give me just a second, guys. I have to adjust a bit because I'm using the reverse side of my phone so I can have a better camera quality, but it requires a little more adjustment. No, that's not the one. That would be the one here. It is open, but it doesn't tell me if I am connected or no. Yes, I am. Cool. So, yes, you guys just saw my lovely kitchen with lots of dishes that are clean. They're not dirty, but yeah. All right, 2 people now. Can you guys hear me? Let's see if that works. Well, where am I? I need to be here. There. Give me just a minute. I'll be spreading the good news on Facebook. Live class. Now. There you go. Just pasting the link. Post. Go. Always a bit slower. How are you guys doing today? I have class now. There we go. Seems a little different. We'll see how that go. Group. Here. Again. I'll be with you in just a minute. Welcome. Share. 3 people. Cool. Thanks for joining. Okay, it's been shared. So, come on, paste. There it is. Right. So let's see here. Very tidy. Up. All right. I need to turn this off, or actually, let me see. Good. So the sound seems all right. Excellent. Hello, everyone. 7 people already. Cool. I'm glad to see you guys with me today. To continue our Taiji Qigong Shibashi set 2 working. Let me just turn on a bit of light on this side so that look a little more balanced. Good. And I have this, and you can almost see my hands. We'll be working with this. So let me adjust the camera a little bit higher. You won't need to see my feet so much because we'll do 2 movements where actually, yeah, you'll need on the second one, but we'll adjust at that point. So, good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our weekly, no, not really, we do it 3 times a week, to our Taiji Qigong Shibashi set 2 lesson for today. Today we'll be looking into, what is it? Bringing the moon back into the lower dantian. That's not quite the translation of the name, but that gets the idea going. And then the Phenix open its wing. We'll do two movements because both of them are fairly similar and fairly simple to follow and add together. As usual, I'm not, a little disclaimer, I'm not there with you at home, so I cannot observe and guide you specifically in your posture. So please be mindful, respect your own limit. Um, Adjust yourself, take a break when you need to, take a glass of water, and just make sure that you're enjoying this moment and feel as relaxed and loose as possible as you're doing it. So, for today's class, let's get started. As usual, we want the feet parallel, shoulder width apart to have the knee slightly bent and our hips gently resting on the legs so that we can feel very comfortable and seated on the lower part of the body. As we breathe in, we allow the lower abdomen to start to fill up. Exhaling and finding that sweet spot between the front and the back of the foot, so the heel and the toes, gently rocking yourself until we can find that sweet spot in the middle. That allows us to have our hips vertical, nicely seated onto our legs, and allowing the lower abdomen to start to breathe a little deeper. Feeling that relaxation coming in, feeling how the diaphragm can gently push downward and create more space into the lower abdomen. Playing with internal pressure in this way so that as the diaphragm pushes and create more pressure in the lower abdomen, the blood and the fluid can be sent back upwards, more the blood towards the heart, and so that it can spread it through the lungs to get oxygenated. So feeling that internal pressure going from the front to the perineum towards the back, where we can have that gentle opening of the spine, moving as we inhale and relaxing as we exhale. As we start to feel the breath filling up more and more the lower abdomen, allowing the connection to come up and open up the ribs, having abdominal breathing, then thoracic, feeling that open, stretch, and close. So we can have a deeper breath with each inhale and exhale. As we're taking this moment to observe our structure, observe our breath, we allow the mind to quiet down, to find a happy, peaceful sensation, just gently observing how our body is feeling right now. Removing any judgment, removing any emotional aspect, just taking a few steps back, observing it as a separated situation. Letting the mind become calmer and calmer with each breath. And if it can help, you can imagine being outside, walking in a beautiful environment overnight under the full moon, as this will be the visuals that we can use during this movement to help the mind be a little more relaxed. After the movement that we did last time, the lion playing with the ball, since that's a movement that helped to rise the chi upward, we now want to make sure that we can pull it back down and stay calm and not have too much chi rising over towards the head. So we'll be pulling the moon back into the lower dantian. First aspect will be shifting gently our weight on one side, keeping our legs both extended and relaxed, rotating gently around the waist, not affecting too much the positioning of the hips, having that rotation from the waist, turning around, opening up, having our arms rise, connecting to the sky, coming back to the center, and then letting our hands come down gently as we start bending the knees, sinking a little lower. Shifting the weight to the right, stretching the legs naturally, allowing the arms to come up, connecting above the head, and gently letting our hand sink down, bringing the chi back into the lower dantian. As I'm shifting gently my weight, I want to make sure I'm not turning the hips, but I just have that translation, using the rotation from the waist to gently rise up, visualizing the moon in the sky as I'm holding the moon above with my hand, allowing it to start to sink, coming gently down through into the lower dantian. And it's almost like if the moon is came through my head, through my central channel, into the lower dantian, and feeling that beautiful white full moon calming effect into the lower abdomen. As I turn around, open as I inhale, grabbing the moon from the sky, exhale, gently allowing the hands to come down through the body into the lower dantian. Inhale, shifting the weight to the side. Exhale, coming back to the center, relaxing, bringing the chi back down into the lower dantian. One more, inhale. Exhale. So as I'm here opening my arm, I want my shoulders to be relaxed. I want the arms to turn around gently towards the sky. And once I reach and feel that my arms are gently extended towards the sky and can round above the moon, coming back here to the center, making sure that as I go down, my palm are gently pushing the chi downward. So I don't want my palm to be facing myself as they would be just gliding. They wouldn't be pushing anything. And I don't want my palm to be on the side either. Otherwise, I'm losing part of the chi upward. So I really want to have gradually this push, feeling how the positioning of the hand helps with the downward movement through the body, bringing the chi gently into the lower dantian. And as my hand reach more or less somewhere between the diaphragm and the belly button, they'll naturally just relax, connecting with the feet into the earth, and then allowing the arm to rise again, connecting with the sky as I'm inhaling with the rotation. So we'll just look at this part facing forward, allowing the hands to really push and glide the chi downward. As you're doing this, you want to try to feel the thickness of the chi around you, almost like if it was water or a denser kind of misty type of air. And if you move like this in kind of a misty morning or fog or some kind of smoke, as you move your hand, you will see the spiraling of the air behind it, kind of creating a movement and a suction downward. So as you're pulling the chi down, you want to have that kind of effect that you're not just pushing something down, but mostly using the suction that happens behind to allow the chi to come and pull into the lower dantian. And even though here we're inhaling and rising, the downward motion keeps going. So we're creating more a full cycle going all around us and back down through the center rather than having just a up and then down separated motion. With this motion, We also connect it through the breath for lower abdomen, thoracic, and upper thoracic. So practicing that aspect facing forward so we don't have to worry at this point of the rotation and the legs too much. As I inhale and start to feel the lower abdomen filling up, I allow my arms to start to rise. And as long as I'm inhaling through my lower abdomen, my hand rises till about the diaphragm level. And naturally here, as my thoracic breathing starts, the pulling on the shoulder blade becomes a little more intense, which allow my arm to start to rise. And then gradually connecting with the upper thoracic, the opening of the skull, as all of the bone of the head starts to open up to connect with heaven. And then as we exhale, we gently relax, letting that sinking through the movement of the arm, pulling and pushing the chi back into the lower dantian. So inhaling, abdominal, thoracic, upper thoracic. Exhale, relaxing, letting the air come out naturally, very gently through the mouth without any effort. Inhaling, exhaling. Now we'll be adding the weight transfer and the slight rotation from the waist. So as we start the inhale, we have this weight transfer and the rotation, which gives us solidity into the lower abdomen so that we're not rotating and bending and losing connection. So from the lower back. As I'm shifting, I want to make sure that my lumbar area remains open, even though my legs become more straight, and not to have my butt sticking out and a strong lordosis of the lumbar vertebra. So inhaling, feeling that strength and that pressure into the lower abdomen, which become a bit like a ball where I can rotate on top of it. Thoracic breathing, upper thoracic, coming back to the center, and then sinking and exhaling gently. Opening to the side, inhale. Coming back to the center, up, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. So forward, shifting my weight, rotating from the waist, coming back, exhale. Shifting the weight, inhale as I go up, coming back to the center, exhale. One more each side, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And just taking a moment to feel and to enjoy the sensation. Any question on this? Hi, Stefan. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. No question for this one. Good. So the goal, as I mentioned earlier, after we've played with the lion playing with the ball, because it has a more rising effect of the chi, we want to come back gently to pull it down, gather into the lower abdomen. And then from here, we're going to go back up again and open up our wings to open up the chest and connect the letting the chi rise and sink between heaven and earth. Let me just see, somebody wrote something. Yes, this is part of Taiji Qigong Shabasher set 2. So we'll do the whole form a little bit later during this class. So from here, the Phoenix open its wings. After we come down, we gather the chi into the lower dantian. We have a strong base, and from this base, we can now extend, open our wings, and start to fly. The weight shift again will be similar, moving our weight from one side to the other, except that this time we'll have a little more rotation from the hips first, and then the waist slightly opening, which will allow our back foot to naturally let the heel start to rise so that we can go vertical on our support leg. And then as we come back down, landing the back leg, but keeping our weight on the front leg, so to speak. So we'll be shifting weight from one side to the other compared to the movement we just did where we were coming back to the center as we were exhaling. In this one, we want to do the full movement as much as possible with 100% of our weight on one side and then shifting onto the other and 100% of the weight on the other leg. So if your legs are not quite strong enough for you to do this, you'll have to adjust the movement. Don't necessarily go as low as I will be doing it. Adjust the height. Adjust how much repetition you will do as well so you don't get your legs too tired. But try as much as possible to have all of your weight just on one leg, shifting from one side and then the other to start to strengthen the leg a little bit more. And if you can go a little bit lower, if you're in better shape, then you can really get kind of a lower position as you're transferring from one side to the other. So after gathering the moon into the lower dantian, we will shift our weight onto our left leg, bring our leg up as we inhale, letting the arm rise above the head, getting our back heel to naturally lift from the ground. And then as we exhale, allowing the arms to gently sink, coming down. My weight is still just on one leg. Here, shifting my weight onto the other side, and then rising all the way up as I inhale, exhaling down, sinking and sitting on my support leg, shifting side. Inhale, going up. Exhale, coming down. Switching weight. Inhale, going up. Exhale, coming down. Inhale. Up. Exhale. Inhale. Just like a phoenix opening its wing, flying high in the sky. Beautiful bird. Gigantic wings. Getting to the point where you feel like you're floating and flying. Let's do one more each side. Up, down, up, and down. And back to the center. Allowing the shoulder to be relaxed, especially if there was a little bit of tension as you were doing the movement. Feeling the connection through the legs, letting any tension from the thighs flow down the legs towards the feet into the ground, and relaxing. Gently rubbing the palm together. Good. So within both movements, we have a connection going up gently towards the sky. And then in the first, pulling the moon into the lower dantian, where we're coming back, focusing more on the downward aspect. In the second movement, the phoenix spreads its wing. We have a rising and a sinking that has an equal intensity, where we want the chi to flow through the body, more specifically through the central channel as we're shifting it from one side to the other to get that rising of the chi, that floating sensation, and then coming back down to the side in this case. In Taiji Qigong Shibashi set 1, we have a very similar movement where we do it with both legs in the center as we go up and down. And we'll use this movement just to get a bit more acquainted with the feeling of the breath, how it connects with the arms, how the expansion and the rising of the chi can happen. And then we'll go back into the movement from set 2, which has that weight shift and the rotation, adding a little bit of extra difficulty and work through the body so we can go deeper and further within our practice. So in set 1, we want to have the feet parallel, the knees slightly bent, and we'll gradually feel how through the breathing and the raising of the arm, each step of the movement unfolds and then gathers as we come back down. So the first step, we're going to focus with the breath, lower abdominal breathing. If you open your hands, your thumb open, and place it right above your iliac crest, you can put your index finger about level of the belly button, the other finger naturally kind of open and stretch a little lower. You have your thumb more or less just on the outside of the quadratus lumbaris. For those who are familiar with acupuncture points, it's the bladder 23, the shoe point for the kidney, which helps the whole lumbar area. And as we gradually start to breathe, feeling the lower abdominal breath, trying to feel that the inhale go as low and deep as possible in the lower abdomen and gradually filling up the front, the perineum, and the back. And as you exhale, feeling how the abdomen start to relax and have a heaviness at the center. So with the inhale, we feel a pressure, a strength inside the lower abdomen. And on the exhale, we feel a relaxation and a heaviness coming in. Gently inhaling through the nose. And then for the exhale, opening the lips just gently and allowing the air to naturally come out. As softly as if you had a candle in front of your mouth and you didn't want to blow away the flame. So you want to make sure that the exhale is very soft. So feeling how deep your abdominal breathing can be. And if you feel that it's not as deep as it could, you can just roll your shoulder back, bring them up towards your ears, closing the upper part of the chest, which is going to force you to have a deeper abdominal breathing, observing your breath in this position. And see if you have the same volume of air filling up the lower abdomen, or if you end up finding that you can breathe actually a little deeper in this awkward position. because the shoulder are closing up the upper part of the lung, we're forcing the lower abdomen to breathe a little deeper. And as we're breathing deeper, we can realize how much space there really is. So once you feel how much space you have in the lower abdomen, you can relax the shoulder and try to maintain the same depth of breath as you're inhaling with the shoulder relaxed. Inhaling. Exhale. And if after a few breaths you realize that you're losing a little bit of space, then you can again roll your shoulder back, bring them up towards the ears and closing up the upper part of the chest, and feel how deep the lower abdomen can fill up as you inhale from this position. Then relaxing again the shoulder and maintaining the same depth of breath in the lower abdomen. Once you feel it, we're going to move into the thoracic breathing, placing the thumb around spleen 21, which is roughly the height of the nipple on the lateral line of the body. It doesn't really matter if you don't quite know where it is. You can just find a soft spot that's a little sensitive. There's a few other acupuncture points in the area which also work in similar ways, so you don't need to be extremely precise as to where it is at this point. From this position, you want to open up the fingers to feel the side of the ribs and the back. And so when you inhale, this time we want the shoulder to be back so that we allow the shoulder blade to sink into the back. Just be careful you're not bending your spine, but you want to maintain the spine straight as you're opening up the shoulders into the back. And as you breathe, you should now start to feel the opening of the ribs. And the more relaxed the shoulder and sink the shoulder blade, the easier it is to feel how the ribs open. Feeling that kind of accordion or wing opening and closing down as you're breathing. Combining the two, we want to have the lower abdomen filling up first, and then the opening of the ribs on top, which allows us to have a deeper, a longer breath. So we can have one hand on our hips, one hand on the ribs, filling up first the lower abdomen, and then feeling how the ribs start to expand afterwards. And exhale, relaxing. So inhaling, filling up first the lower abdomen, and then the ribs, and then exhaling once more, filling up the lower abdomen, and then the ribs, and exhale. So from this, we're going back into our movement. We'll use the feet parallel for this first step. As we inhale and fill up the lower abdomen, we want to feel how that internal pressure helps our arms start to rise to the side. And then as we add the thoracic breathing, and particularly that sinking of the shoulder blade, will help our arms to rise and go up. And then as we exhale, coming down, bending gently at the knees and sinking. So first abdominal breathing, inhale, filling up the abdomen, then the thoracic. Legs are now straight, and then the upper thoracic naturally brings us on our toes, allowing our arm to rise above the head. And then coming down, gently landing, allowing the arms to come down, bending the knees, sitting into our legs and feeling the deep connection into the earth happening. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhale, filling up the lower abdomen, thoracic, upper thoracic, all the way up and down. Let's do this one more time. Inhale up. Exhale. From here, we'll go into the full movement of set 2. We'll add the weight shift, the slight rotation of the hips, the stronger rotation from the waist. As we inhale, filling up the lower abdomen to have the strength to maintain us in that posture. Straightening the legs, opening the ribs. Going up, this time only the back heel naturally elevate. Coming back down, gently relaxing, allowing the arms to sink, keeping all of my weight on the same leg, shifting side, inhale, filling up the lower dantian as I'm getting up, the ribs, upper thoracic, up, all the way on top to the head, and then coming back down, gradually sinking the chi through the leg into the ground. Inhaling up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do one more each side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And coming back to the center. Taking a moment to enjoy the effect of the movement. Gently rubbing the palm together. Good. Any questions on this movement or the previous one? I see somebody wrote something, so I'll verify. In the meantime, if you have questions, write them down. Hola, Diego. Bienvenido. Gracias para venir. Good. So if anyone has a question, take a minute. I'll take a quick sip of water, and we'll re-practice these two movements together before joining them with the whole form and continue together. Good. All right, no questions. So let's get going. The work we just did with the breath also apply to gathering the moon and pulling it down into the lower dantian. Again, if we start it with our feet parallel, as we inhale, we allow our arms to rise, connecting to the sky. And as we exhale, we let our arm sink, come down to the center, gathering into the lower dantian. So as you inhale, again, you have the lower abdomen filling up, the thoracic area filling up, upper thoracic towards the top of the head, connecting with the sky. Exhaling, allowing the hands to sink as we're bending the knees, as we're sinking the chi into the lower dantian. So my upper and lower body work in coordination. As my arm start to open up and rise, so does my legs. They start to straighten, and my whole movement reach its apex. Once my hands are up, then my legs are extended. And as soon as I start to sink, pulling the chi down, allowing the hands to become heavier and fall down with gravity, I start to bend at the knees as well, bringing everything down at the same time to finish my upper and lower body movement at the same time together. And what ties them both together is the breath. So as I start my expansion, actually I start my breathing, which links through my arms and my legs to that expansion and that rising movement. So inhaling, I finish here the abdominal inhale, adding the thoracic, here the upper thoracic, and the sinking, I simply allow my breath to exhale gently without any specific order, naturally. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhale, exhale. And rounding the palm gently in front of the lower dantian. Adding the weight shift, so shifting the weight to the left. This time keeping the hips forward, rotating only through the lumbar area. Coming back to center. Exhale, allowing the chi to gently sink, bringing it down into the lower dantian, feeling the roundness of the full moon in our lower dantian. Shifting weight, inhale, connecting through the sky, grabbing the moon and pulling it through the top of the head, through the center of the body, and into the lower abdomen. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Feeling the calmness, the quietness of the night under the full moon. One more, inhale, exhale. Phenix opening its wings, shifting the weight this time, slightly rotating from the hips and then the torso all the way up. Exhale, coming down, keeping 100% of my weight on my left leg, then shifting 100% on the other side. Inhale, gently rising. Exhale, coming down into the center. Shifting side, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Coming back to the center. Taking a moment to enjoy the sensations. Gently rubbing the palm together. Good. So if you guys have any question, take a moment to write them down, and I'll be talking just a little bit for neck positioning regarding the movement of the head. So one of the common element that we hear often both in internal martial arts and Qigong is the idea that we have to tuck in the chin. The reason we want to tuck the chin in is to help straighten and stretch the cervical spine. The main issue I have with that is that most people think that you need to keep it in this way. When we want to tuck the chin, we want to use that just as a mean to feel how we can stretch our cervical spine. But once the spine is straight, the head has to maintain a certain flexibility on top. We don't want to maintain this position stuck here. Otherwise, we're preventing the bone from the cranium to be able to open, hence preventing the opening of Baihui towards the sky. So if I get a little closer here, as my chin comes in a little bit to feel that stretch through the cervical spine, once it's there, I want to be able to get my head to move a little bit before the spine actually is being affected. So from here, if I take my finger and place them on my cervical spine, I can tuck in my chin a little bit just to stretch the cervical spine and put a bit of pressure on the vertebrae with my fingers. Here I should be able to get my head to look down more or less 45 degrees before I start to feel that my spine really start to round up forward and create a bending within the spine. So again, bringing the spine straight, allowing the head to look down. You should feel that there's very little movement of the vertebra as your head kind of look down a little bit, but as soon as you go further than a certain point, you'll feel how the whole neck start to turn. And we have the same thing when we look upward. From here, when I bring my head up, I can feel that my eyes can look about this degree without much effect, but if I go any further, I really feel a steep sliding of the vertebra towards the front and bending of the neck. So as our neck is erected, our head should feel kind of a bubble head being able to float and be balanced on top of the cervical spine, which will allow for the occiput, the temporal, and the frontal bone to open and close really like the petal of a lotus flower opening, and it really creates that opening. It's not randomly that the image of the lotus flower on top of the Buddha's head has been used. It's because once the cranium bone starts to open and the chi really start to flourish at Baihui, you really get this feeling like it's a flower that just keeps opening and opening and opening until you relax, and then you allow it to absorb and send the chi back down. An image for this, the image of the flower of any kind of plant, is great because we have the roots that deeply connect within the earth, that gather the nutrients from the earth, that nourishes us all the way up to our flower. And then the flower being open and the leaf absorbs the ray from the sun, from the sky, sending its warmth and its effect through the plants all the way down to the tip of the root. So we really have this connection between heaven and earth with the image of a flower that nourishes itself from heaven and nourishes itself from the earth. Now, where was I going with this? So, yeah, this connection going up, the adjustment of the head, so that as I'm doing this movement here, I'll keep one arm to the side just so you can see, oops, sorry, the movement of the head. As I'm inhaling, my neck here is erected, but my head is able to have just that slight angle towards the sky without bending the neck. And then as I come back down and relax, naturally my eyesight will go a little more towards the ground. So my head will be just a little tilted without again changing the neck and without bending and looking down. So I want to maintain mostly that vertical axis from Baihui down to the center of the feet. And as I'm doing this movement and that the whole body is rising up, the head will look up. And as I'm exhaling, relaxing, letting the thinking happening as I'm going down, my head will look just a little bit down, feeling how the jawline remains relaxed. And as I go up, that stretch happening through the spine, and then the head being alive and being able to open, not maintaining close, which creates a lot of pressure on the base of the occiput, but to have this opening happen naturally. So let's try to incorporate this into the two movements, starting from the center, shifting the weight to grab the moon and pull it down to the lower dantian, inhaling as we go up, wrapping around the moon, up, exhaling, bringing the hands down, pulling the chi through the center of the body into the lower dantian, feeling it gather. Inhale. Back to the center, exhale, gently sinking. And down. Inhale. Exhale. One more, inhale. Exhale. Phoenix, open its wing. Inhale, going to the side. Exhale, coming down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And coming back to the center. Gently rubbing the palm together. Good. Hope you guys feel as good as I do, because it's a really fun feeling to have. Wow. Cool. So, thank you very much for joining the class today. If you guys have any question, write them down. I'll take just a minute to look at it, give you time to write an answer, and if not, then I'll just be saying goodbye to you. Thank you very much for joining this class. It's always a pleasure. If you have any question and you're watching this video afterwards, feel free to write it down in the comment or on my Facebook page, qigong18.com, or send me an email. And if you want to get private, personalized training, contact me. I give one-on-one class over Skype or Zoom or any other video chat. It's pretty much the same thing as being in the presence of the other person without the physical contact, but that can be arranged to help you really feel, adjust your posture so that the chi can circulate better and that you can discover those hidden pockets inside of you. So let's see. Very lovely. Thank you. You're welcome, Jane. My pleasure. Up. All right. So if there's no question, thank you guys. We'll see you again on Friday. We're almost done. We have one, two, three more movement left before we finish the whole form. So that will take probably 2 to 3 other classes, and then we'll do a class for the full set, specifically focusing on transition, how we connect one movement to the next. And then we'll see from there. If you guys have any idea of what other classes I can do in the coming weeks, let me know. I was thinking maybe go into set 3 since I need to film it as well. So any suggestion will be welcome. Thank you very much, guys. Very happy to see you again, and I'll be seeing you shortly. Bye-bye. Where's the off button? Right there. Ah, yes, no, maybe. Up.